but it does sort of bring into focus one of the big issues at the moment, your own medical history. And if we are to get vaccine passports, and by the way, they really do seem to be on the way. Do you know there's a consultation, the government consultation starts, I think it's in a couple of weeks.
I filled mine out last night.
Yeah, so I think they're on their way. I mean, they're already in place in Scotland and in Wales, and I think we're getting them, and they will, of course, effectively mean that we are required to share personal, private medical details.
Absolutely.
And this is philosophically kind of, we're crossing the Rubicon with that, aren't we?
I think we really are. We don't ask anybody. We don't ask people to prove that they haven't got HIV, and nor would we. That would be absolutely disgusting. So why the hell would we ask them to do this? Especially as what they're asking us to do is prove we've had a vaccine that actually doesn't stop us from having the disease in question. If it did, if the vaccine was 100% effective at stopping COVID dead in its tracks, then fair enough, Kevin, I get that. But it really doesn't. I open patient notes on a daily basis now who have had 2 COVID vaccines and then had COVID. So it doesn't stop us catching it. It doesn't stop us transmitting it. So what is it about?
Yes, I mean, this also feeds into, I mean, you've said before that the only reason you can think of for the government being so keen to vaccinate children, school children, from the age of 12 upwards, is some kind of mass vaccine passport scheme in the future, digital ID.
Yeah, I can't see any other reason. There's no scientific reason behind it. So you then have to go to places where ordinarily you would never go. You then have to justify that you're not a lunatic, and because people still don't quite believe it.
Might be difficult in my case, but I'll do my best. Yeah.
Well, I struggle, but
So I've been trying to establish whether these. You're a parent. Have you had your letter? Oh no, your kid's only 3. Isn't
yeah, they're not coming near her.
Okay.
Kevin. They can fight me first.
Well, luckily, she's outside the age group.
She won't be.
But as far as I know, a lot of parents have had the letter.
Yeah.
Saying that the jab squads are going in.
Yeah.
Is it your understanding that I haven't actually heard any reports that they are in actual situ yet?
No, they are. So some have happened. I think it's very spaced out because obviously they've got staff and they've got a lot of schools to cover, but some have actually happened already for sure.
So they're in schools doing their work.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
I think it's abhorrent, and I've said it, and I feel that because I don't feel there's enough science for it. I think that there are going to be children that are harmed, and to me that's ridiculous. Harming a child for a disease that will not hurt it in the main. We know the stats. 1 in 2 million children die of COVID, and anywhere between 1 in 3,000 to 10,000 get myocarditis. And I have seen a case of myocarditis now in my practice. So it's not just pie in the sky, it's real. And I'm in a tiny practice, so it's not that I have hundreds of thousands of patients. And it's really happening. And, these people are getting enough heart damage that they need heart failure medication for the foreseeable future.
Well, listen, when we come back after the break, I want to talk to you about, the thing is, I mean, I got a lot of flack over the last few days from, some pro-vaxxers, who insist that there is absolutely no risk whatsoever.
How do they know?
To children from the vaccine. And, they cite the very small numbers of children that have died. Apparently, there have been 20 in America. Now, there's 370 million people in America. Now, statistically, 20 deaths cannot be significant, can they? In that number of people.
So it depends what you mean by significant. So if a child is not at risk in massive numbers from COVID, then surely any child death is unacceptable.
Well, of course.
And so then I have to ask anyone who has children, whose child is okay? Is it okay for their child to die? Is it okay for my child to die? Because I can tell you it isn't okay for my child to die. Not for any good, not for society. No, it's not okay because I know my child won't come to harm from COVID. She didn't. She had it. So no, it's not. And so for me, 20 children dying is horrific. Horrific.
Of course. But there are always going to be numbers. In the medical world, you have to go by statistics,
of
don't
course.
you? And 20 people out of 370 million is pretty infinitesimal.
Well, firstly, they're not all children.
Oh, well,
So don't forget, in the UK, amongst adults, we have had at least 70 deaths from the vaccines, from the AstraZeneca clotting. So those are 70 people who would probably be alive now. And that's tragic. They all have families and children. Don't forget, America has, I think, 43 million children under.
I think I think we were at cross swords. What I was being told on Twitter was that there have been 20 deaths from COVID among children. In
Sorry,
America.
I thought you meant from the vaccine.
From among children.
But that is in 43 million children. Yes, that's infinitesimal, and it's terribly, terribly sad. I don't want anyone to die from COVID, but what scares me is more people dying from the cure.
Yeah, well, we're going to go to break now, but I think my essential question is if you have 20 kids dying out of 43 million, is that cause to vaccinate every kid?
Absolutely not.